Hello, welcome to the Maya Toolbelt. This is Michael. So kind of a little bit of a backstory of how this video is coming to be. I'm in a Christmas play and we're starting rehearsals and things, and I happen to mention, like, oh yeah, I do like computer graphics and stuff and I teach and things like that. And they started, of course, like, oh, how can we use that? How can we use that in our play? So I play a police officer in the play, and so what they're going to do is on the screen up above, they asked about having like a graphic of a police light, like you see on top of a car, flashing on this graphic projected on the screen to kind of, it'll flash the red and blue lights out to the audience and things from this image on the screen. So I'm going to have to make this police bar for this production. So I thought, hey, why don't I go ahead and record this? Be a nice little project video, kind of like the environment project I did previously. So first I need some reference. I did find this image. I think this should be sufficient for kind of what I'm going for. Something relatively old-fashioned and very iconic police lights, right? So first thing I'm going to do, it has this kind of profile shape. It's kind of this flat top with the outward sides, a little bit of a bevel here, and then back end, kind of like a hexagon shape sort of thing. So I'm going to make that in Maya first. So I'm going to go into my side view and go to Mesh Tools, Create Polygon. I'm just going to hold down X for the grid snap. I'm just going to snap some points kind of in the general idea of this profile shape for this light bar. So something like that. Hit enter. Go back to my perspective view. And so I'm going to take this shape and first of all, let me just kind of go back and forth with my image I have here and see if there's anything I really want to change real quick before I do anything else. And I think that's pretty close. I might just grab these edges here and maybe bring them in a little bit. It's not quite so wide. And I'm not an expert in how this thing should look from other angles. I'm just using this one angle that I have. This is the angle it'll look like. It'll actually be kind of at the bottom of the screen, so kind of like this. And flashing red and blue, and all this will be kind of black up here. So that's all. This is all I'm really looking for, is this kind of angle. So as long as it looks good from this angle, we're okay. So back here, that looks like it's probably good enough. So I'm going to edit mesh and extrude across. So we have something like this. And actually I might want to just extrude to the origin line right here in the middle, because then I can do whatever I want to over here and just mirror it over to the other side. So with that in mind, I'm going to delete this face here. So back to my image, you can see it bevels out like this and has a kind of a point on the end. So we're going to simulate that. Grab this face, edit mesh, extrude, kind of pull it out like this. And so if we look at the image, see what actually is happening. So this top face is sloping down here to where it's even with this bevel I have, and then it comes down and goes back over here, and then these triangles are kind of filled in. So what I think I might do instead of this bevel, let me undo that. I'll delete this face. I'm just going to grab this edge here, go to my front view, edit mesh, extrude. I'm just going to take this point down here. I'm point snapping, hold down the V key, left clicking on this green y-axis handle and kind of mousing over the point I want to snap to. So it kind of snaps to this point here. I bring it out a little bit. Then we're going to extrude again, press the G key to extrude again, and then we're going to point snap this one to here. So I can go back to my perspective, you can see what I got here. And then I'm going to fill in this gap here with the append to polygon tool under the mesh tools, append to polygon. I can click on this edge and then this edge, and it has this kind of pink fill in surface. Hit enter to fill that in completely, and I'll go ahead and keep doing append to polygon by pressing the Y key since it was the last tool I used, and fill in these gaps. I'm just pressing the Y key to reactivate that tool each time. Alright, let me look back at this now. So just kind of judging from this angle, and what I could do actually is create a camera from the angle I'm going to want in the final piece, and just kind of make sure it looks proper from that angle, as that's all that really matters. So I'm going to go to Panels, Perspective, New. So this creates a new perspective camera, and I'm going to hide the grid for this camera and just kind of place my camera, around here. And I'm going to click this little camera lock button right there to lock the camera in place, so I can't change that angle anymore. So now I can go back to Panels, Perspective, Perspective, and I can get back to my work camera. But Perspective 1 is my render camera, and I can rename this Render Cam if I want to. Alright, so from this angle, just looking at it here, and again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mainly want to compare the slopes a bit, and we will angle it up so we can see more of the top of the light bar. I think that'll be more dynamic. And so yeah, otherwise I think it's okay. I mean, we can probably adjust it some more later. So let me unlock the camera, kind of angle it up like this. And so what we can do is we can mirror this across. So I'll just hold down the D key and V key so D and V. Middle mouse click and drag and just kind of snap my pivot out here. And then I can try the mirror command. Let's go to Mesh, Mirror. Okay. And so we see we cut geometry is off, axis position is for the object. Let's see, the axis should be the x-axis. There we go. And that's all seems good. So now it should be nice and mirrored like this. Actually, let me go back to the mirror, and let's see. I actually wanted this to be merged together, so let me grab this again. Mesh, Mirror, Options, and make sure I have Combine with Original turned on. Merge Border Vertices, yep. Alright, Mirror, and then we need to do this again. So axis position is object, this is X, and we want let's see, where are we going with this? Let's do world, I guess. Oh, there it goes. World X. There we go. Okay. So now we have this. So I'm going to double click this edge loop and go to Edit Mesh, Bevel, and that gives me 2 edge loops. So now I can grab these edges in between in the middle here. Now what I want to have happen is I need to lengthen this out a bit. So I'll grab all these points, kind of move them over here. And this middle section should be this kind of grate in the middle here. So we're going to go back and make this a bit smaller. And we'll go back to, say, center pivot. We can go ahead and delete our history for now. Unlock the camera and get my view more like what I want. So looking back and forth, I can see that the image one is a little bit skinnier. Again, I don't want to get too intense on making sure it's like trying to get exactly right, but I want to be, close enough. I think that's probably going to be a good base shape for this. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and let's bevel all these edges. So I'm going to grab pretty much all these edges. I'll deselect this edge loop going through the middle and Edit Mesh, Bevel. We'll adjust our fraction. Okay. Kind of soften those edges up a little bit, but they still have that bit of a crease through there that we need. And this is going to be our metal kind of plating. So I'm going to grab these two edge loops again, edit mesh, bevel. This fraction needs to be much smaller, so something like this. Just kind of scale up a little bit. It's just to give it a little bit of separation there. Just enough so that it gets picked up in our render. Just bevel this again. Okay. So let's see, let's go back to this now. So this is our metal bits here. So this stuff here is kind of this translucency stuff. We got like these little panels here for this pattern of glass ripples in that kind of like a headlight look. So looks like the bottom half is this kind of clear plastic. The top half is a colored plastic. It looks like it's held on by these little latches here. So we can make a couple of those little things. Let's do that next. So I'm just going to, again, we might delete half of it for mirroring purposes once we start doing something to one side that we want to have happen on the other side. Let's go ahead and do that, I guess. So let's go ahead and edit mesh, mesh tools. I'm going to insert an edge loop, and we'll make it its weight 0.5, which puts it right down the middle. And then I can delete all that stuff. I'm going to insert another edge loop about right here. That's going to be our panel for this bit here. And then for the little clip, I'm just going to grab these three faces, I think, and edit mesh, duplicate face. And when I do that, I'm going to press the up key, because what happens when I use a duplicate face command, it automatically groups the two together, and I don't really like to keep those groups, so I usually get in the habit of pressing up and saying edit, ungroup, so it gets rid of the group. And then I can just work with the two individual pieces here. So this is that first piece. I'm going to center the pivot. I'm going to scale this much smaller. I'm going to grab this edge here. Just bring it down here. This edge here, bring it up. It's about right here. This will be our little clasp. So with these, this kind of position like it is here, I'll go edit mesh, extrude, pull that out a little bit. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and bevel all this stuff. Edit mesh, bevel, because I love my bevels. And we don't need anything too crazy complicated, just need a shape. Center the pivot, Control D to duplicate it, so we have another one over here, and that might be a little oversized. Okay, so yeah, it's a bit oversized, we can scale it down. Alright, so we might model in a bevel through here, so just kind of get that separation of the two kinds of plastic. So, just kind of running right through the middle of this, or right, kind of, let's see, let me move back at it. Okay, so it's kind of at the top before where the lip comes down. That bevel's kind of at the top of it, so we'll use that. So I'm going to say edit mesh, no, sorry, mesh tools, insert edge loop, and we'll run it right through there. So I put the edge loop through, but I needed to stop it so it's not going through that metal grate that we're going to have there, remember? So let me do that again. Mesh tools, insert edge loop, put it through there, weight of 0.5. But then I need to select these and delete them. So we go to edit mesh, delete edge. Okay, now I can grab this edge loop again and do that again with edit mesh transform. Okay, push that in. We can grab all of these, making sure to deselect these over here. Okay. Oh, make sure I don't have too many. Press 4 for wireframe. I can kind of make sure I only have the edges I want selected, which I do. Edit mesh bevel. So now we're not getting that bevel happening through our metal area over here. So now I'm going to mirror this. So I'm going to delete the history, put the pivot point over here. I don't know if the pivot point really matters or not, but mesh mirror. And we want the x-axis. There we go. Okay. I can duplicate these little clasps and put them over here. Look back at my render cam, and we've changed the shape a little bit. We can zoom in a little bit, and let's just kind of compare. Looks like it's still kind of thick, and my metal piece is not nearly as wide as I need it to be. So let's go ahead and fix that. Grab all these and scale them out this way. Grab these edge loops and scale them out where that panel is going to be. And then those clasps got hidden through here. Is that a little closer? A little bit. And we can position my camera. So yeah, overall it's still kind of thick. So I'm going to Control G to group all this stuff together. Center the pivot, and I'm just going to kind of scale it thinner. I think that's closer. And then the points on the end are a little too prominent. So I'm going to grab these and these. Scale those out a bit. So it has these kind of things coming off the bolt to the car. I'm not going to worry about that, I think. I'm just going to kind of leave it as this. These little divots and things, I'm not worried too much about that stuff. I might add that in later, but I think for now, we got a pretty good outer casing. So let's go ahead and start separating for material purposes. So this is that metal grate. Make sure we have all the components of that selected. And edit mesh extract. Kind of pull those off. Again, when you use the extract command, just like with the others, press the up key. I have everything grouped together now. So go edit, ungroup. So now I have these separated. So I'm gonna grab all the bottom part. That's all gonna have the same kind of clear plastic material at the end. Shift period to grow my selection up till it gets to the middle line of where that divot is. It's right through there. And I can go ahead and include that middle line, that's fine. So with these selected, edit mesh extract. Press up. I have everything grouped again because of that extract command, so I need to select my topmost group, edit, ungroup. Edit, ungroup. Edit, ungroup. And it's just because I don't want a messy scene. So with this selected, because they're both already separate kind of chunks of mesh, I can go to mesh separate to just kind of separate those into two separate pieces. Press up, edit, ungroup. There we go. So this is gonna be my, what is that, red? No, that's blue. So blue side, red side. that metal stuff in the middle, clear plastic on both sides here. We might could go ahead and do some preliminary material where just kind of see what it looks like. So I'm gonna use Arnold for this. I'm gonna first save it so I don't lose any of this. File, save, scene as. Okay, so I'm gonna be using Arnold for this, I think. So I'm gonna go to Arnold menu, lights, and let's just use an area light. Scale this up, and let's look at our Arnold render view, and then let's hit this sort of red play button to kind of start the render process. And let's change to our render camera so we can see it. That light's probably a little too dim at the moment. So go to the attribute editor here, and let's increase the exposure up. There it is. You can start to see it now. Increase that up a bit. Let's say up to like 11. There we go. Might be a little too high, but about 9. And we can increase the intensity up. So the intensity and exposure kind of works together. Okay. So now I'm going to select, let's do the metal part. The metal part's probably a little bit easier. I had that metal part selected, right click and say assign new material. And we're going to use an Arnold material, so AI standard surface. You can see it kind of highlight there. And they have a lot of presets. I'm going to go preset, and it's kind of chrome, so replace with chrome. Okay, it's a little too shiny, and let's increase the roughness. There we go. There we go, that's more like it. And both these bottom pieces are going to be using kind of the same material. I can actually probably combine them. Mesh, combine. And then I'm going to right click and say assign new material. Arnold AI standard surface. And we can name these two. This would be clear plastic. Preset. And let's go with thin plastic, I guess. There's plastic and thin plastic. Let's try thin plastic first, replace. And what we're going to need to do a couple things. Let's go to geometry. It's thin walled already, so that's good. Now the actual geometry itself, let's select it and go into the shape node, Arnold, and turn off opaque, because it's definitely not opaque. Okay. And go back to the material. Let's see what else we got here. Transmission, increase that up so it's kind of see-through. Now there's nothing inside there to really see, and the background's black. Let me create like a backdrop just so we have something in the scene. So let's create a plane. I just need to kind of make sure this looks like it's supposed to. Okay. So what we're going to do eventually is add in kind of these shapes that are inside here, just so there's something in there. And we're also going to add like bump maps and things for these elements. And I know that there's like different shape, like this little piece coming off of here, but I'm not too concerned about that for the sake of this project. It's like a volunteer thing for this Christmas play that I'm in, so I'm not worried too much about it. But okay. The little clasps, let's grab those guys. Right click, assign new material. Arnold AI standard surface. We can preset these to chrome, and we can call these metal clasps. All right, and let's see, this material we never named. Let's delete history. Call this metal plate. Let's take that roughness down. It's a little too rough. Make it more shiny. All right, left side. Right click on it and assign new material. Arnold AI standard surface. We can call this blue plastic. preset. Let's see, we'll stick with thin plastic for now. And then the color, let's try a specular color, see if that does. That's not really what I want. Transmission. So it's going to be see-through. Again, we're going to need to go back into the shape node, turn off opaque. Let's go ahead and do that for the other side too. Let's go ahead and change the base color. So what kind of blue do I want? It's kind of a paler blue than that. So let's go with saturation. Take that. Saturation's okay actually. We just need there's slightly less saturation and maybe a little bit less. Not too. There we go. A little bit blue that way. And again, we're going to add those shapes in here. A little bit make some more sense once we have more of the finished product. This side. That's actually, yeah, okay. Side, new material. Arnold AI standard surface. Call this one red plastic. Preset thin plastic again. We want the color in there though, so we're going to add in the red. Now, sometimes the Arnold renderer, I've noticed, kind of gets hung up, so I have to stop and play again. There we go. So the red's pretty saturated, so I think that's going to be okay. So we have so far. I mean, it's pretty simplistic still, but you know, we're getting there. I just added some kind of really basic materials. So the next step is going to be creating those shapes that's kind of inside the mechanism of all this. And we don't really need to get too detailed, but we're not going to be able to see them really. We're just going to be able to see the kind of hint that there's something in there, you know, and then it's going to be rotating and stuff whenever the lights are flashing. So we just need something in there to really just kind of sell the idea of what's happening. But anyway, I think that's a good stopping point. We made some good progress here, I think. Press the 6 key, you can see the textures, how they're represented in the viewport. The textures here are never they're never as accurate here as they're going to be in the render. So just have to kind of, I usually just keep it with shaded view just because of that. But yeah, we're making some good progress here. So I'm going to save this and cut the video off, and I will get back to you guys in the next part where we continue with this project. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Thanks again for sticking around. Thanks for watching. If you do have any questions or anything, please feel free to ask. You know, thought this might be just fun for the channel. Hope you're enjoying it. So I'll talk to you later.